In the summer of 1944, as the fog of war blanketed Europe, a secret American unit arrived in France, carrying not rifles and cannons, but brushes, wires, speakers, and bundles of strange rubber fabric. These men stepped off their trucks with quiet determination, their eyes filled with both fear and curiosity, knowing that their mission was unlike anything the battlefield had ever seen before. They were not ordinary soldiers, but artists, designers, and sound engineers, dressed in fatigues yet carrying the minds of dreamers and tricksters, who had been given the power to bend reality itself. Their purpose was clear yet unbelievable: to create entire divisions out of thin air, to conjure armies that didn't exist, and to fool Adolf Hitler's most trusted generals into fighting shadows. On paper, they were known as the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, but among themselves, they carried a far more fitting name: the Ghost Army, a legion of phantoms born to deceive. Imagine a flat field outside Normandy, where a handful of men unroll thick rubber sheets across the grass and begin inflating them until massive Sherman tanks rise like balloons against the horizon. From a close glance, the tanks wobble slightly, their surfaces glistening with seams. But from the air, through the eyes of German reconnaissance planes, they look like armored beasts, ready for battle. Alongside the tanks, other men construct fake artillery positions, planting wooden logs and painting them to resemble deadly howitzers, the barrels pointing toward enemy lines in silent menace. Trucks that never ran an engine and jeeps made of canvas are arranged neatly in rows, while laundry is strung on lines between tents, giving the illusion of a bustling encampment. The Germans, scanning from the skies, see what appears to be thousands of men preparing for battle, never realizing that only a few hundred ghosts are pulling the strings below. But visual tricks alone are never enough. So the Ghost Army unleashes their second weapon sound, and with it they turn empty fields into roaring strongholds of phantom soldiers. At dusk, giant loudspeakers are mounted onto trucks, and soon the air vibrates with the grinding clatter of tank treads, the grunts of marching infantry, and the mechanical roar of convoys. These sounds have been meticulously crafted by engineers at Bell Labs, layered recordings designed to carry miles through the night, convincing any listener that an entire division is moving nearby. German patrols pause in the darkness, ears straining as the invisible army thunders forward, forcing commanders to divert men and weapons toward a battle that will never come. Inside the Ghost Army's ranks, radio operators play their own role in the grand illusion, tapping out Morse code and patterns stolen from real Allied divisions, mimicking their fingerprints flawlessly. To the Germans listening across the airwaves, the chatter feels authentic, a flood of coded signals that confirm the presence of powerful reinforcements massing against them. But the deception is not confined to props and signals alone. The Ghost Army turns even the smallest detail into theater, with soldiers acting as generals and colonels in nearby towns. Disguised officers ride jeeps with painted insignias, making sure they are spotted by enemy informants, while enlisted men linger, and spreading deliberate rumors over mugs of bitter coffee. Every move is a calculated performance, every gesture designed to be seen and overheard, each whisper adding to the illusion that entire divisions are gathering just beyond the horizon. Their first major test comes shortly after the D-Day landings, when the Allies need to protect real troops by drawing German bombers away from vulnerable positions. Under cover of darkness, the Ghost Army sets up decoy camps, lit with false fires and staged lights, while sound trucks mimic construction crews, building bridges and roads. The Germans unleash their fury on these glowing targets, dropping bombs on empty fields, while the true Allied forces slip safely forward under the shadow of this living ruse. Again and again, the Ghost Army's illusions save lives, tricking the enemy into wasting time, energy, and ammunition on nothing but shadows and rubber. In Brest, they simulate an entire armored division, positioning rows of inflatable Shermans and blasting convoys of sound, convincing the enemy to brace for a massive assault. Instead, the real Allied units flanked from elsewhere, catching German forces off guard, all thanks to a phantom that never fired a single bullet. But deception is never without risk, and the Ghost Army often operates terrifyingly close to the front lines, setting up fake tanks while real artillery shells explode only fields away. Men kneel in the mud, desperately patching holes in their inflatable tanks, even as shrapnel whistles overhead, knowing that discovery could mean annihilation for them all. They are not combat soldiers, most carry only pistols, but Their courage lies in maintaining the illusion under fire, knowing that their props are as fragile as balloons. Yet, despite the danger, their dedication never falters, for they understand that every hour their trick holds buys safety for thousands of real soldiers marching elsewhere. One of their most daring operations comes in Luxembourg, where the Ghost Army is tasked with impersonating none other than General George Patton's mighty Third Army. Patton's reputation as the Allies' fiercest commander is legendary, and the Germans watch his movements obsessively, fearing where his hammer might fall next. With inflatables, radios, and sound, the Ghost Army builds the illusion of Patton's army, preparing for an offensive, luring German forces toward a battle that doesn't exist. Entire divisions are redeployed to face this phantom threat, while the real Allied push surges forward elsewhere, striking with minimal resistance thanks to the shadows cast by the Ghost Army. German intelligence, convinced by the performance, reports confidently that Patton's army is on the move, never realizing they have been chasing smoke. But the Ghost Army's greatest triumph comes in March 1945. On the banks of the Rhine River, the last great barrier standing before the Allies can march into Germany itself. Crossing the Rhine is a dangerous gamble if the Germans concentrate their firepower on the real crossing. Thousands could die in the attempt. The Ghost Army is ordered to create a diversion, staging the illusion of a massive buildup at one sector of the river, while the true crossing happens miles away. In the misty dawn, fields bloom with inflatable tanks, convoys thunder from hidden speakers, and radio traffic hums with the chatter of phantom divisions. German scouts peer across the Rhine and see an overwhelming force preparing to strike, and their commanders rush to fortify the wrong sector with men and artillery. When the true Allied crossing begins, it meets only scattered resistance, the enemy's strength wasted against shadows, and within days the Allies surge into the German heartland. The Ghost Army's deception has once again saved countless lives, turning the tide of one of the war's final, most dangerous operations. But even victory cannot erase the risks they face, and at times the Germans unleash real shells against fake positions, shredding rubber tanks and killing men who stood too close. 3 soldiers of the Ghost Army lose their lives. Dozens more are wounded, proving that even illusions come at a cost paid in blood. Their bravery is often overlooked, for history tends to remember those who storm beaches and capture cities, not those who inflate rubber tanks under enemy fire. Yet the Ghost Army's impact is undeniable. Historians estimate their deception saved between 15,000 and 30,000 American lives. Every time a German division was drawn away by a phantom, real soldiers were spared from facing that firepower, and battles were won with fewer casualties. After the war, their story is locked away under secrecy, their files stamped top secret, their deeds erased from the public record for more than 50 years. Families never knew the truth, veterans kept silent, and the Ghost Army remained invisible, even as its members returned home to ordinary lives. Some became world-famous Bill Blass in fashion, Ellsworth Kelly in art, Art Kane in photography, yet none could speak of the extraordinary role they played in the war. Decades passed, until in 1996, the veil was lifted, and the Ghost Army's story was finally shocking the world with a tale stranger than fiction. Newspapers and magazines revealed their secrets, and documentaries soon followed, bringing to light the hidden artists and dreamers who had outwitted Hitler's war machine. The public marveled at the creativity, the audacity, and the sheer courage of men who fought battles with illusions instead of bullets. Museums began displaying their inflatable tanks, sound equipment, and sketches, artifacts that stood as proof that imagination itself had once been a weapon of war. Veterans of the unit, now old men, finally spoke of their missions, recalling nights spent building fake armies while real ones marched to safety in the shadows. For them, the recognition was bittersweet pride for their contribution, sorrow for the comrades lost, and amazement that their secrets had stayed hidden for so long. In 2022, their legacy was sealed forever when Congress awarded the Ghost Army the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the nation's highest honors. Frail survivors stood before the world, their uniforms long replaced by suits, their youth traded for age, yet their eyes still shining with the memory of their silent war. The medal symbolized more than recognition. It proved that art, deception, and creativity could be just as powerful as raw firepower on the battlefield. The Ghost Army had shown that wars are won not only by strength, but by imagination misdirection, and the ability to shape what the enemy believes. They had turned the battlefield into a stage where every tank was a prop, every sound a soundtrack, every rumor a line in their performance. In doing so, they reshaped battles, saved lives, and proved that perception could change the course of history. Their legacy continues to this day, influencing military deception strategies, with modern armies still using inflatable decoys, false signals, and sound warfare inspired by their innovations. Beyond tactics, their story serves as a reminder that unexpected talents can change the world. That creativity is not a luxury but a weapon when used with courage. These men, who once painted billboards and designed fashion sketches, became warriors of shadows. Their art turned into a shield for thousands of lives. Their story challenges our understanding of heroism, showing us that courage can be found not only in charging into fire, but also in standing under fire, armed with imagination. Imagine their nights in war-torn Europe, inflating rubber tanks under moonlight, joking quietly to ease the fear, while enemy artillery echoed in the distance. Picture their days spent spreading rumors, and sipping coffee with steady hands while spies listened intently, unaware that they were part of a grand play. Visualize the tension as German planes circled overhead, cameras snapping photos of fake camps below, each click confirming the success of the illusion. Every detail mattered: the placement of tents, the tire tracks in the mud, even the trash pits dug to make the encampment seem lived in and real. These small touches gave life to the ghostly performances, turning fields of props into convincing strongholds of phantom armies. In many ways, their work was a form of living art, crafted not on canvas, but on landscapes, where deception itself became a masterpiece of survival. Their brushstrokes were tire tracks, their colors the shadows of rubber tanks, their gallery the battlefields of France, Belgium, and Germany. And though their medium was unusual, their art saved lives, proving that creativity is not fragile but fierce when wielded with purpose. Even decades later, the thought of their illusions remains mesmerizing: armies of air and fabric, sounds echoing in the night, generals made from costume and confidence. It almost feels like folklore, the kind of story too strange to be true. Yet every piece is documented, every mission recorded in official after-action reports. The Ghost Army was real, and its phantoms marched boldly through history. To stand in their shoes is to feel the surreal weight of war fought not only with steel but with shadows, where danger is real but weapons are illusions. It is to know fear while pumping air into a tank of rubber, praying that a scout plane does not fly too low and expose the trick. It is to feel courage while posing as a general, every eye watching, never letting doubt show even as spies whisper your presence to German ears. It is to live at the razor's edge between fiction and reality, crafting lies so convincing that they become truth in the minds of your enemy. The Ghost Army's men carried this duality: artists who became soldiers, soldiers who became actors, all bound by the belief that their illusions mattered. And matter they did, for their phantoms carved real results on the battlefield, turning the course of battles with props and whispers. Their story has since inspired books, films, and exhibitions, captivating new generations with the strange truth of how imagination defeated fear. Audiences marvel not only at the tricks, but at the bravery it took to perform them so close to the line of death. For every rubber tank raised, there was the risk of shrapnel tearing it apart. For every rumor spread, the danger of a spy seeing through the act. Yet the men pressed on, never faltering, for they knew that behind their shadows marched real soldiers who depended on them. In the quiet moments, they sketched landscapes, painted the chaos, and captured the strange beauty of fighting a war of make-believe. These artworks remain today, preserved as echoes of their dual life as both creators and deceivers, reminders of the humanity behind the illusion. Theirs was not a story of killing, but of saving, of crafting lies to protect truth, of inventing shadows to shield lives. And that, perhaps, is why their legacy feels so powerful, because it shows us that even in humanity's darkest hours, creativity can light a way forward. The Ghost Army did not storm Normandy, did not raise flags over Berlin, but their unseen hands shaped the path that made those victories possible. They remind us that heroism is not always about destruction. Sometimes it is about deception, distraction, and the courage to risk everything for the sake of others. As the decades roll on, their story grows ever more astonishing. A hidden chapter of World War II that feels both impossible and undeniable. From secrecy to celebration, from shadows to honor, the Ghost Army's journey reflects the strange ways history sometimes hides its most fascinating truths. They lived as phantoms, served as phantoms, and returned as ordinary men, carrying extraordinary memories that they shared only when time allowed. And when they finally spoke, the world listened, astonished that rubber and paint could be as powerful as steel and gunfire. Today, their tale stands as a testament to the power of imagination in war, a reminder that sometimes the sharpest weapon is the mind itself. The Ghost Army's illusions live on in every story told, every exhibit visited, every mind sparked by the idea that art once defeated an empire's might. Their shadows march eternal, proof that deception can be an act of courage, that creativity can win wars, and that imagination can save lives. And so the story ends where it began, in a quiet French field, where men once inflated rubber tanks beneath a watchful sky, crafting illusions that fooled Hitler and saved the world.